Perfect. We are live now. Okay. Excellent. So, good evening, everyone. Pooja ji, good evening. Thank you so much for joining from Germany and sparing time for all of us here. And I would just, could you stop sharing the screen? I'll just give a short introduction about you and then we can begin. Is it okay? Yes, perfect. So, with us is Pooja. Pooja is a proud pharmacist and she is also a medical communicator. It's a pleasure to introduce Pooja to this webinar. Hi, Pooja.
Hey, good evening.
Good evening. She is the Director of Medical Communication Services and Delivery at IJCP Group of Communications, New Delhi. And she holds a master's in pharmaceutical chemistry, right?
Yes.
Pharmaceutical chemistry. And also she holds a diploma in health communications. And she brings us a wealth of knowledge and experience. That is over 18 years of experience she brings with us. And for the past 18 plus years, she has been into medical communications. She'll decode all of this. Okay, so all of these keywords she'll be decoding. She has been into medical communications. She manages everything from publications and medical marketing to medical education, research projects, and she works across the different verticals like academics, research, strategic communications, public health, and medical communications industry. And Pooja is not just a leader; she's also a strategic communication specialist for pharma, biotechnology, marketing teams, public health campaigns. She does all of that. Okay. She has led numerous respective research studies, survey-based assessment studies, and she has been instrumental in the development of several consensus documents, white papers, policy papers, clinical guidelines for pharmaceutical and healthcare. And she has been working with a number of pharmaceutical industries across the globe. Some of the pharmaceutical companies to name with USV Pharmaceuticals, Mankind, Dr. Reddy's, Himalaya, Emcure, Cipla, Sanofi, Alchem. The list goes on. Okay, so I'll not, I'll give the entire brief about her introduction in the video below the YouTube, so you can read more about her. So welcome Pooja. Thank you so much for agreeing to be part of this, live sessions that I have been doing for over 4 years now, and this goes every Saturday. The objective is to create awareness as much as possible for our pharmacy and healthcare professionals about different verticals of medical writing, medical communications, and all of that. So let us decode, medical marketing for all of us here, what it is, how it helps the pharmaceutical industry, and what is its significance, and why it is so important for us to learn medical marketing as such. So welcome, Pooja.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here for such a detailed introduction. And it is always good to give back to the profession that I learned so much from, or that has taken me wherever I am today. So it's a great feeling, and I hope that whatever I am going to talk about today is going to be helpful to you. And while we have a limited time and limited space to share everything that I am going to share today, if there are any queries or if you would like to connect with me at a later stage, I will provide my email ID in the chat box. You all can reach out to me, or on LinkedIn also, you can message me.
Surely.
So, for any queries that you are not able to ask here or I'm not able to answer here, we can always select later as well.
Definitely.
So,
And
yeah.
one pointer I forgot. To all of them who are registered with Zoom and whose email ID is with us, I'll be sharing an email with the replay of the session, the LinkedIn link of yours, and also your email ID so that they can connect with you directly. And that's what I do
Great.
for all the sessions. Yes, perfect.
Awesome. Awesome. Perfect. Thank you so much. So without wasting much time, I would like to delve deep right into the topic that we are going to talk about today, and it is medical marketing, a writer's perspective. So as you can see, there are two aspects to it. One is what is medical marketing, and the second is we all know who a writer is, but when it comes to medical marketing or even medical communications, how does a writer fit into the picture? So let's see how things are. What is medical marketing per se? Because all of know what marketing is, wherein we try to persuade a specific audience or a targeted set of population to believe or convince them about the goodness of something, about the benefits of something, and then eventually influencing them to either use that, buy that, or, you know, benefit the manufacturer or the person who's selling that product. But when you add medical to the marketing, things become slightly serious, because when we say medical, we are talking about healthcare business. And when we say healthcare, then we are talking about medicines, we are talking about specific therapeutics, we are talking about some devices, we could be talking about, a specific procedure. And when we are trying to promote that, who do we promote it through? Why do we promote it? How do we promote it? Because at the end user would always be the patient or the layperson who's going to be benefited by that, or who's going to eventually use the therapy. But how is medical marketing different from regular marketing, regular advertisements that you show on, that you keep seeing on different media formats, from print to digital, to your TV screens, to your mobile screens, everywhere there is an advertisement. So, first of all, obviously, the target audience here is also the general public, the patients, but we cannot go directly to the patient. We have to go via healthcare professionals. So, the primary difference is that you have to convince someone else about the benefits of your product in a very subjective and objective manner, without you know influencing them in the wrong way, that okay, this is the product and this is beneficial in these ways, and this is how it can be used. Okay, so you have to ethically influence them into buying something, and this is what medical marketing in layman's term is all about, right? So if I try to define what medico marketing is, it is a set of activities that is performed to disseminate information about healthcare and medical products, services, therapies, events, procedures, anything. Okay. And the basic rule remains the same as it is there throughout the marketing process. The simple abbreviation of KISS, KISS. It means keep it simple, silly. So we have to keep things very simple while we are trying to market any medicinal, any medical, any therapeutic product to our consumer base through a mediator, who's a very important mediator, because without the mediators being influenced, the product is not going to go to the end user. So anybody who wants to get into medical marketing needs to have an in-depth understanding, needs to know what are the words to be used, needs to know what is the rationale. If you are telling someone that this medicine is very good and you should be using it, what is the rationale behind it? What is the science behind it? What is the evidence backing it up? Is there any evidence or not? So who can be a person who is promoting medical marketing? So it could be any healthcare professional. It could be an MBBS doctor. It could be an MD. It could be a pharmacist. It could be a science graduate also. But the kind of understanding that they have about the molecule will be very impactful and very effective in them coming up with good strategies about marketing a product in a correct way. So we know that medico marketing writing now comes into picture. So what is medico marketing writing? When you see advertisements, usually you see a lot of taglines, you read a lot of product about the information about the product, you see a lot of advertisements, you see a lot of videos, interviews, which eventually take you to informing you about a product. All that is scripted by a person who is writing those scripts, who's writing that information. Any social media post that you see, any article that you see, it is being written by someone. So that's a content creator. When we come to medical marketing, the insights and the knowledge that is required becomes more serious, becomes more niche. Somebody has to know the subject. And the people who are scripting the content stories here are known as medico-marketing writers. So that is how we club together the two, medical marketing and writing. You would have heard about people who are writing research papers. You would have heard about people who are writing regulatory documents. But when we talk about medical marketing, so science obviously has to be there, hardcore science has to be there, evidence in form of clinical trial, in form of systematic reviews, in form of meta-analysis, even case reports has to be there. But there has to be a very beautiful mix of science and creativity when we are talking about medical marketing or medico-marketing as it is commonly called. Because if you do not have a blend of science, evidence, and creativity, you will not be able to come up with content that attracts the user or that attracts the reader or whatever your targeted audience is. Unless they read what you are trying to tell them or they see what you are trying to show them, they will never come to know about your product. And if they don't know about your product, if they are not convinced about your product, they're never going to use it. So it's a very important field in the whole ecosystem of when a drug is being developed. So if you look at my screen here, you will see the life cycle of a drug, and you can see right from when a drug is undergoing clinical trials, when it clears the trials, it gets approval from a body like FDA, or in India, we need DCGI approvals. And after that, they are in the market, and then they continue to remain in the market. And there is this whole ecosystem where writers are required. These writers, of course, belong to diverse specialities, but you can see that from summary documents for regulatory submissions from clinical trials to you then move on to this center place wherein you will see peer-reviewed manuscripts and systematic reviews, wherein once the clinical trials are complete, their results are published in various journals, and then they are further taken forward to conferences so that you get to know about these new therapies, or if an existing therapy has been shown to provide new results in a different therapy area. And then book chapters, then you see slide kits. So this whole entire thing forms the part of medcoms. And in this, we also have the medical marketing component to the right of the screen, where you see medical communications written. Also, if I personally talk about myself, from this black arrow to the right side of the screen is where my specialty lies in. So medical communications is an overarching subject, and under which medical marketing is one of the aspects. And in medical marketing, we are actually trying to promote the therapy, promote the drug, promote the device, promote the procedure to an intended audience. All right. Now, it is a puzzle. It's a complete, you have to have different pieces of puzzle that fit together, and then you have the whole marketing scenario. It is not comprised of one activity, one advertisement, one isolated Facebook post. No, there is a whole gamut of various activities that come together that fit into each other like the pieces in a puzzle, as you see here. And then a medical marketing strategy is complete. And this is where a medical marketing writer comes into picture. They not only write, they also strategize. Once you tell them that this is the molecule and this is how we want to promote it, they will come up with accurate means of promoting it. So they will tell you that you can do these activities to promote your molecule. So that is what the perspective of a medical writer is when we are talking about medical marketing. But who are we writing for? Why? Who do we target everything that we do to? There could be several layers of audiences. The primary audience is always healthcare practitioner. Then it could be health system stakeholders. I'll just let you explain to you who are they, and also buyers. The buyers would be the eventual target, but you can't go to them directly. You have to go to them through healthcare practitioners, through health system stakeholders. A health in the health system stakeholder, anybody who can make a policy decision, anybody who has a say in deciding what can exist in the market, what cannot exist in the market, or if there are any negative feedbacks about a certain thing. So this stakeholders is also very important in terms of, so we do not only write marketing content for the healthcare practitioners to convince them, we also have to talk about the policy makers. So we sometimes do policy papers, we do white papers, we try to tell them what is the problem that exists on ground, what are the solutions, possible solutions, and which of those solutions are probably the best solutions. So these are the audiences who form your target system. Now, what are the different materials that a writer would be developing? As you see in this picture, it's written Leave Behind Literature. You would have seen that doctors have these, brochures, 4 pages, leaflets that are lying on their table. They have been given to them by some pharma, informing them about a specific product. And it is just that information. While we do talk about benefits, we also talk about any adverse events that might be present. So the information has to be given in a very neutral manner, science backed. There are product monographs, patient education kits, and there are other deliverables. So if we look at a list of what are the kind of deliverables that a medical marketing writer would be working on, these would comprise, but please know that this list is not limiting in nature, considering the continuous evolving field that medical marketing is. You go on adding a lot of deliverables to this list. But the traditional ones, if I talk about, are slide decks, posters, white papers, brochures, sales training manuals, patient education materials, physician information booklets, case studies, consumer success stories, newsletters, press releases, business proposals. I would add podcasts to them. I would add videos to them. I would add publications to them, because in current scenario, even for medical marketing, publications form, especially narrative reviews, especially systematic reviews, they form an extremely important part of the medical marketing deliverable scenario. And these are a few samples that I'll show. These are a few of the medical marketing communication materials that I have worked on. You can see there is a newsletter, there is a fact sheet, there is an invitation that you see. And I will just tell you why have I shown an invitation here for a conference. You can see there is an app, a screenshot of an app. Then this is a screenshot from a video. This is a screenshot from a 3D video we did. This is a patient education uh, poster. So when a medical marketing strategy is being planned, you don't restrict yourself to just writing the content for certain pre-decided deliverables. For example, you want to do a conference which is for a specific product. So you're not going to talk about that product. You're going to talk about the therapy. So as a writer, you will not restrict yourself to just developing content that will be used as slide decks in that conference. You are also supposed to plan and suggest an agenda for that conference. You're also supposed to plan and give them an invitation that this is how things should look. You'll also have to work in tandem with the designer to come up with the agenda invitations, conference invitations, conference agendas, banners. For all of this, you will provide your scientific and expert input. So if we look at the most important communication materials, so there are posters, there are brochures, there are flyers, there are slide decks, there are white papers. I can share these slides with you so you can go through the details of these, not taking it up here. Now, what are the 6 P's of medico-marketing? Okay, so this forms the entire essence of everything that we are doing for medico-marketing. Okay, we start with the product or service. You need to know what is the product all about. You have to have, as a writer, you have to have a complete understanding of what is it all about. What are the benefits? Are there any side effects? Is there any controversy associated with that product? If there is, how serious that controversy is? What is the evidence favoring or not favoring that controversy? All this you should know before, even before you start strategizing how to market that product. Next is price, because health economics outcomes research is very important these days. So you have to understand the price of the product, the pros and cons associated with high prices, how useful it is going to be, who are going to benefit if it is a high price product. Then places, how will it be available? Is it an OTC product? Is it going to be prescribed? Who is going to prescribe it? Can a general practitioner prescribe it, or is it going to be prescribed by specialists? Promotion, what is going to attract the interest of the intended audiences? For example, if I talk about doctors and you want to tell them about a new molecule that has come in, conference would be a very good place to tell them about that molecule. Then when you want to reiterate about that, maybe you could send them a review article that was published on that particular molecule. You further want to reiterate that to them, you could conduct a video that is being done by an authoritative voice in that field, a top doctor who believes in that, who has seen the evidence and who is in agreement, who is in concordance that yes, this molecule that is now going to come in is very important in this particular therapeutic landscape. Then who's going to sell it and who's going to buy it? Is it a cancer medicine? Is it a life-saving drug? Is it a fever medicine? Because as the therapy area changes, so does the way it is going to get sold in the market. And presentation. How will the customer, the final customer, know about it? Will it be only through the doctors, or is it something that they can also read about and then find about? So these are very important aspects that you must take care of, or you must try to find information about before you move on to start strategizing, and then further down the line start working on the content for that. And then we also have so now you have you know about the product, you know what it is to be done, what is to be done. I am not going into details into how to strategize a medical marketing approach, because that will take an hour in itself. It's a vast thing. So sometime later, definitely, whenever you people want to, we can do something on that also. So now you have your strategy in place, and you know that you have to probably develop 4 or 5 communication materials, and there is a campaign that is going to start. So now you sit down to write, and whatever you sit down to write, be it a script, be it an LBL, be it a review article, be it a blog, be it an opinion editorial by a KOL, whatever you're going to write, there are 5 important elements to that written piece that you should always take care of. First is the headline. Whenever you open a newspaper, whenever you are surfing through net, whenever you are is the headline. So the headline has to win hearts. Then a positive and right tone. And it does not mean that you only have to talk favorably about a particular product or the product that you are actually going to promote. When I say positive and right tone, even if you're trying to tell them something negative, if you're trying to tell them about an adverse event, it has to be done in the right way. For example, all of you would have been hearing about Covishield. A few days back, we were hearing about, I'm not taking brand names here. So we were hearing about a vaccine, a COVID vaccine that had adverse effects. But if that information was given in the right way, you would have known that what would be the consequences of that on us as an individual. The content has to be focused. If you're talking about a particular product, we have to talk about that product. Simple and meaningful words have to be used, no jargons. I'll take each one of them in detail. And there definitely has to be a call to action, because at the end of the day, what you are writing is a marketing piece. So when we say winning headline, you have to hook the reader. The moment they see 5 headlines, yours should be the one that they get attracted to read, that okay, this is something important. So next is attention. And then when they read the first 2 3 lines, or when they are reading the headline itself, it should pique their interest and they should want to read further to know more about that topic. It should There should be a desire in them. It should rise a desire in them for to know about the particular product that we are going to write about, or the therapy area. And then there has to be a call to action in the headline itself. So the headline must hook the eyes of the reader, hold their attention, and allow the message to gain the reader's interest, building a desire towards your offering and facilitating them to take action. Okay, and that in a sense is a winning headline. Now, we spoke about positive and right tone. So there are active voices in which you talk, there are persuasive tones, which is all fine, but you can't deride another competitor product. So if you are talking about a product, you give the benefits of that product, you talk about the adverse events of that product in a neutral tone, you tell them how to use it, but you can be persuasive, slightly persuasive about the benefits of the product, but you cannot compare it negatively with another product until and unless you have very strong evidences to suggest that. You have to have a positive tone, because everybody wants to read articles that have a positive connotation to them. Everybody wants to see videos that have a positive connotation to them. So that is very important. The content should be focused. So once you start writing, you collect all your thoughts together, and then you can go on simplifying it several times. So first you start writing, you have a huge draft in front of you, you write whatever you think is true, whatever evidences you get, and then you edit it mercilessly, cruelly edit it to come down to a very crisp communication material. Okay, so benefits. Focused content will always gather attention to the benefits. Okay, always remember, the more longer you write, the more long paragraphs, without any flow, without tight editing. This happens with movies also. If we see long movies, we lose our attention. If it is not crisp, if the story doesn't seamlessly flow from one part to another, to third, to the last climax, then only you will be able to sit through the movie. If it is loosely woven, if it just goes haywire, if there is no flow, then you would lose interest. So write a big draft, but then you cut it down, you edit it properly to create a crisp content which people will find interesting to read. Now, I would request all of you to read these words, and then we will see how many of you know the meanings of these words. Precision medicine, anosognosia, dyspareunia, idiopathic, genomics. So these are all big words. I mean, how many of you actually know these words? Can you all raise your hands? Who all know these words? Who all know all of these words? Can I see hands? So nobody. So you can raise your hands using the Zoom feature also. You don't have to actually raise your hands. And how many of you know at least 3 of these words? I still don't see any hands raising. How many of you at least know one of these words? No, as in you know these words.
At least one. Okay. Yeah. At least one. There are at least four. Yeah. At least four.
Yeah.
There are people.
So
Okay.
at least one, a few of you know. So the whole point is, if I use these complicated words, nobody is going to understand what we are writing. So whenever we are into the medical marketing writing space, we have to write something which is to express our feelings. Nobody is interested in, reading big words. We don't have to become another Shashi Tharoor. We just need to keep things simple, words that everybody can understand. Because even sometimes doctors, it could be a general practitioner, it could be someone from another specialty, they might not be knowing all those big words. So we'll not use jargons, we'll not use acronyms. We always have to give them full forms, buzzwords. Everybody might not be aware of what is the in thing, those abbreviations, those slangs, because you have to get through to your reader. Also, you have to understand your target audience. If we are writing for specialists, we'll be writing in a different way. If we are writing for nurses, we'll be writing in a different way. If we are writing for pharmacists, we'll be writing in a different way. So when we write, we have to be very careful that things have to be kept simple, focused. The core objective should not be lost at any point when we are writing something. And medical jargon is something that we should completely avoid. Call to action is extremely important whenever you are, for example, you would have seen influencers who create those 30-second reels, 1 minute reels, 2 minute reels. At the end of that reel, they always either take you to a product that you can go and check, or they ask you to like and subscribe there. If it's a YouTube channel or if it's a social media, they want you to follow them so that they get more viewers. So everything should have a call to action. So if you are talking to a doctor, there should be a definite call to action. Attend this conference, get this knowledge, read this paper, start using this. See if in clinical practice this makes any sense. So there has to be a call to action. Now comes the most important question. Who are medico-marketing writers? Are they only doctors, MBBS and MDs? What do they do? So a medical marketing writer, in the simplest terms, is anybody who can blend creativity and science together and come up with content which catches the attention of people who are technically or scientifically sound, because we are going to talk to nurses, doctors, pharmacists, specialists. So while you do blend creativity and science together, you have to be technically accurate, medically accurate, scientifically accurate. They come from diverse backgrounds. It is not just MBBS or not just pharmacy who's there. There are dentists, there are Ayurvedic doctors, there are biotechnology, there are science postgraduates, PhDs. So there is a whole diverse academic background of people who come and work in the space of medical marketing. Skills are also highly transferable. So I have shown you several things that a medical marketing writer can write. So you could come across people who do only few things, who do reviews, who do posters, conference posters, who do abstracts, who do slide decks, and that is their specialty. And then you will come across people who do everything, who do newsletters, who do leave behind leaflets, who do case studies, who also do reviews, abstract, posters, everything. So these skills are transferable. You can shift from one niche to another, or you can also diversify yourself depending on what kind of industry you are working in, what kind of agency, what kind of work setup you are working in, and what their working style is. But I personally believe, even though there are some writers who do not come from the medical background, but a scientific or a pharmacy background is always preferable, is always recommended for a medical writer, because it gives them a perspective that others might not have. Flexibility has to be there, and then you will have to be somebody who's juggling between different projects. In the morning, you could be working on a leave behind leaflet. In the evening, you could be working on a review, and very next morning, you may have to have work on a slide deck and submit it within 2 hours. So you have to be juggling between different things, and for each kind of writing, a different mind space is required. So the flexibility has to be there to shift from one to another at a very short notice. Now, compliance. There are a lot of compliance policies when we talk about medical marketing. So, WHO defines what are ethics in medical marketing. There are, and country wise. So, for India, we will have certain rules. For Brazil, we have certain rules. For UK, we have certain rules. Europe, we have certain rules. So, every country will have their laws, regulations, and codes of practice. There would also be some global regulations that we must follow. Everything as a medical marketing writer that we do, it has to be ethical, it has to be transparent, it has to be balanced, and it has to be appropriate. So we cannot, even if we are aware that there is some problem with the molecule that we are talking about, we cannot, uh, we cannot simply just say good things about it. We will have to talk about the good and the bad both. And there are international, regional, and national policies, regulations, and codes of practices which we must make ourselves aware about depending on which specific region we are working in. Because this is the field of health promotion. Everything that you say, everything that you write, everything that you do has a direct impact on the health of a patient, on the health of a community, and eventually on the health of a population. So it is a very responsible work. We have to balance whatever we are saying. It has to be neutral in nature, it has to be factually backed by strong, solid evidence. So, in India currently, and they have been released in 2024, we have Uniform Code for Pharmaceutical Marketing Practice. Popularly, they are referred to as UCPMP, and all of us are following these guidelines. They have given minute details. For example, who can conduct continuing medical education programs for doctors, who can conduct conferences, when can you pay to a doctor and when can you not pay for a doctor, what are the things that you can pay them for. So these guidelines have to be, for example, you are publishing a 4-pager leaflet which has a case study which has been given by a doctor. Can you publish the doctor's picture with that case study? Can you publish his name? Can you publish his affiliation? What is it that can go as him being as an author? What are the information that can go? All of these small points are mentioned in this guideline, and every marketing personnel, especially in the pharmacy field, will have to know these guidelines. For example, they very clearly mention that you cannot use the word safe without references. There has to be specific evidence if you are using safe, safety, for a particular medical product. So these kind of guidelines, compliance policies exist, and they have to be followed to the T. Now, if you ask me which regulations should you follow for a particular writing, then I would say most relevant regulations for a writer to consider will depend on the area of medical communications in which the materials to be developed sit. If you're working on a publication, if you're trying to write a narrative review and trying to develop one, then you will have to know that there is something called equator guidelines, there is something called ICMJE guidelines, and I will have to go there and find out my guidelines. Nobody is going to teach this anywhere, and this is something which, as you go on working, you have to find about it. So thank you. With this, I would like to close. If there are any questions, I'm more than happy to take them. And I hope whatever I have told you today will be of some help to you. So if
Excellent.
there
Thank
are
you so
any
much,
questions.
Pooja ji, for that. And I must appreciate your it's concisely you have given the complete overview of entire medical communications or medical marketing. And I'm sure a lot of the participants will be benefited from this. So thank you so much for that. Uh, Participants, we can have a lot of questions. If you want to ask a question, the thing is you can raise your virtual hand on Zoom. I'll unmute you and you can ask the question directly. Instead of you typing and me reading and Pooja answering, the best is to simply unmute and talk, right? So let's go.
Yes.
If you have a question, please do ask. And please ask. If you don't ask, the answer is always no,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
All right, let's see if somebody asked. And Dr. Hetal is here. Thank you, Dr. Hetal, for
Hi,
joining.
Hital.
Dr. Hetal, if you want to talk a little bit, well, you can unmute if you want to.
Hi Manoj and hi Pooja. So good to see
Hello.
both of you. And sorry, I attempted to join on time, but somehow got late. But I could hear the last bit of it. So I guess great for arranging such sessions and the topic particularly. I'm sure it is of great benefit to everyone out here.
Thank
So
you so
good luck.
much.
Yeah, congratulations to both of you for making this successful.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hetal. You
Thank
want to
you.
put some pointers for all of us here? Your expertise is also invaluable.
I will leave that for the to the speaker of the day, Manoj. I'm sure Pooja
Okay.
would be in a
All
better
right, fine,
position.
fine,
Yeah,
no problem.
yeah.
We'll have
Thank
some other
you. Yeah,
time. Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Thanks.
you. All right. All right, so participants, please do ask questions. If you want to put in the chat box, no problem. I'll read out for you, but it is always good to, unmute and talk. If you want me to unmute you, please raise your virtual hand and I'll unmute you. You can talk. There are some questions. I'll just go through once. Question was from Pooja Das. Pooja, you want to ask a question? Just raise your virtual hand. I'll unmute you. Pooja, if you have a question, go for it.
Okay. So she's probably asking about the skills and qualities.
Yeah, so she wrote, given that much of work performed by a freelance medical writer as well, can all of this can be taken by a medical advisor within a pharmaceutical company. So what additional skills and qualities should a freelancer medical writer develop to differentiate themselves to enhance their distinctiveness in the field? That is the question.
Yes. So when it comes to skills, we've been speaking about it a lot. First of all, I told you that academic background, it's always preferable to have a science background, somebody who has an understanding of medicines, therapies, diseases. That is always a plus point. Second is writing skills, communication skills. And when we say communication skills, we're not only just talking about how you write, how correctly you write, but also how you are able to express yourself for a given, because you have to write different kinds of materials. So the communication skill has to be good. You should have some creative writing skills also. Whatever you write, creativity is also always welcome. So that has to be there. Then you need to have an eye for detail. Very small things matter when you are working on a communication material. So, and these are the things that you go on developing for yourself. Your literature searching skills, they need to be enhanced. I would also say that you should make yourself well versed with the currently existing AI. What kind of AI you can use to enhance your writing, because not all AI is going to, take your job, but it is going to increase, enhance, improve your productivity immensely. So we need to learn about that also. So yeah, I think these are some of the skills that we should work on. You could also try reading up about what are the different guidelines available, what is medical communication all about, what are the different kinds of communication materials, are there any guidelines that are available for them. For example, someone asks you to develop a consensus statement. So you should find out if there are any guidelines about how to develop a consensus statement and what can you do about it. So those are some of the skills that you can develop.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much for answering. If participants are not asking, maybe I'll compile some of the commonly asked questions and maybe I'll ask you. Is it okay?
Yes,
All
absolutely.
right. So question number one for you. Is higher education compulsorily required for getting into medical communications, or is only graduation fine?
Okay. So there is no yes and no question, but if I talk about myself, yes, higher education gives you a certain perspective about therapies which probably you will not understand as a graduate, because an advanced knowledge about therapies, about molecules, about procedures is very important, and that comes with an advanced knowledge, because you also learn your researching skills, because it's extremely important to understand the subject well. And I personally believe that anyone who has a master's degree is benefited by that.
Absolutely, because in masters at least we learn those basic writing skills, research skills,
Yes,
and that
exactly.
definitely provides an edge over rest of them. Perfect, thank
Yes.
you. Second question would be regarding softwares and AI. There is so much of talk happening around AI. Partially, you already answered it, but just to answer to some of the questions that might be in the minds of our attendees. There is always a fear that will AI replace medical writers? AI has already replaced a lot of content writing positions and jobs across the globe. But what it will do to medical writing or medical communications? What is your thought?
Yes. So, no, it is not going to take up your job. It is going to definitely supplement your job. So, we all need to be well versed with whatever the new evolving AI tools keep coming in for medical writing, and we have to be well versed with everything about medical writing first. Secondly, there are certain clinical decisions, there are certain things which comes with a certain amount of having a perspective, just giving an information that these scenarios might happen and what would be your decision might not give you the correct answer. There has to be some human approach that has to be applied when we are taking decisions, when we are working in this field. So no, it is not going to take your jobs, but it is definitely going to help you increase your productivity and to not become obsolete in the field. It is very important that you keep yourself updated with the AI tools that keep coming almost on a daily basis, and know which ones are good and which ones you should use. I could name some that we use in our day-to-day practice. For example, we use referencing softwares. We A lot of us use Grammarly, a lot of us probably use Quillbot, a lot of us would be using something called Elicit, and there are several others. I can't remember them off the tip, but there are several such AI tools which we can always incorporate in our day-to-day working.
Perfect. There is another common question that many of the fellow medical writers would be, curious to know, but then most of them don't, ask in public forums like this. So, should we use ChatGPT for creating medical content?
No, you don't use ChatGPT for creating medical content, but you can use ChatGPT for creating, say, framework for what you are going to write. And with that framework, you can go and do your literature search. So it saves you a lot of time which you would have otherwise wasted in creating, reading and then creating a framework for or a TOC or index for what you are going to work on. So ChatGPT should be used judiciously, but never for developing content, because in medical marketing, the content that you develop should be supplemented with references. And until and unless you are sure of the reference where the information provided to you or returned to you by ChatGPT comes from, you should not be using those.
Perfect. Thank you. Do you recommend any specific tools for the newbie medical writers who want to
I
explore?
Right. So I wouldn't recommend anything, but I have named a few that I use and I find them useful. So it is an individualistic thing. There are certain tools, one person, because there are three
Yeah,
or four referencing softwares, and each one there is Mendeley, there is Zotero, there is EndNote, and each one of us feels confident with a specific tool. For example, I like using Zotero. So this is again an individualistic thing. So find about the various tools available, try using them and see which one suits your purpose best.
Perfect. Thank you. Excellent. What about presentation skills in medical marketing?
Extremely important. Anywhere, presentation, not only developing the presentations, but also I've already mentioned the communication skills. So developing presentations and being able to talk, express what is written on the presentations is always extremely important, because sometimes you have to be the, the face facing the client. So it's important.
Yeah, back then probably it was not so important. Let's say when I joined in 2007, it was not so important to go and do presentation, but today, almost all of us go in field and talk. So it is definitely important. Thank you so
In
much.
today's context, it is.
Yes,
It's
so
quite important.
absolutely, absolutely. Perfect. Thank you so much. Participants, any other questions? It is surprising that I don't see any of the questions in the chat box. Of course, there is one which is coming in from YouTube. The question is from Dr. Nikita, and she says, "Thank you for the nice information session. Just wanted to know, where can we get guidelines specific to medical marketing? Are there any guidelines related to social media platforms as well?" So, Pooja, you want to take that?
Okay. Yes, yes, why not? So you have to look. So as I said, it depends on the information that you are trying to develop. So while you could not there for everything, there might not be an official guideline, but there are guidelines that you will have to search for. For example, if we need to understand what we can do and cannot do, the UCPMP guidelines also covers certain aspects of what we can do on social media and what we cannot do on social media. So
Right.
for each and everything, we have to go and find the guidelines. There is Equator Network where you will find a lot of guidelines. UCPMP, everyone should make themselves aware of. There is WHO is also pharmaceutical marketing ethics. So those we can go through, and they all keep evolving themselves. So in current scenario, they all talk about what we can do on social media and what we cannot do on social media.
Absolutely. And most importantly, we must remember one more thing. Medical marketing is mostly localized to a country or a place.
Yes.
So, and we must understand the local guidelines. And if you are publishing something for the international audience, then as Pooja rightly said, guidelines like from Equator and other international agencies can also be helpful. Plus, following the regulatory framework for that country is absolutely important. And sometimes most of the medical marketing professionals, they tend to ignore these regulatory guidelines. And later on, when the information comes back from client, then it becomes a very embarrassing situation. So it's good to follow these guidelines in the beginning itself, so that we don't have to face such situations. Perfect. So I think we had a good session today, and thank you so much, Pooja, for spending time with us and joining in from Germany. Sorry to disturb you from there.
No, no, not at all. I had committed to this.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. And I thank all the participants. Without your presence, this session would not have been possible. So I thank you again for this. And those of you who have registered with Zoom, I'll be sending an email. Please watch out for my email. It will contain the recording and some resources for you with respect to medical marketing. And I'll request Pooja if she can share the slide. I'll also send the slide to you. Okay. And stay connected. Thank you so much for being with us here. And next week again, we'll be talking something about medical marketing or medical writing. So if you are interested, please join me again. And you'll be also getting the LinkedIn profile link of Pooja. So do follow her on LinkedIn and get connected, because she shares a lot of interesting conference related stuff and all on LinkedIn. So keep learning with her, and that is how we, create a better profession, and that is how we make the profession better for all of us. So thank you so much, Pooja. Thank you everyone
Thank
for being.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Thank you, everyone. Good to have been here.
Thank you so much. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Pooja, and everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone on YouTube for being here till the end, and I'm ending the session. Stay tuned for the next session that will be coming up again on coming Saturday. We'll do it again. Every Saturday, these sessions happen, and we learn something related to pharmacy careers or medical writing or medical communications, or even on personal development stuff. So thank you so much. Stay tuned.